On the next segment, we ask our guests to talk to us about our interesting real estate story. We all have different experiences, so there's always something interesting, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, it depends on what direction Joe and I want to go with
Yeah,
this one.
exactly.
Well, we can have two different stories. How about that?
Okay.
One
Okay.
from
We
you and
want to
one from you.
should we do one bad, one good?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, what do you, um,
Sam, you do the pipe burst story or
oh,
the bad tenant story. It's
I'll,
actually the same property, so
I'll do the Piper story.
yeah.
So, as anyone who's listening can now figure out what I'm about to talk about, we did have a burst pipe. This is on the second deal that Joe and I ever did together. And, if anybody out there is listening has gone through that process, or Ray, if you've gone through it yourself, it is an absolute nightmare. It's horrible. And unfortunately, it happened to Joe and I on a hard money deal that we did together, where, for those who are listening that don't know, a hard money deal is where you get a loan to do the purchase and rehab of a property, which you will then refinance the property at a higher value and pay back that initial loan and get yourself a traditional 30, 20-year mortgage. And we were almost complete on the rehab. I would say it was about 95% complete. Really excited, right? We just pulled off our first hard money deal together. It's our second investment together. And, we're so excited about refinancing, paying that loan back, getting our cash out as well, recycling that money and buying something new. And we get a text, actually. I just got a I believe we got a group chat message, like the two of us and the contractor we were working with at a time, and it was just a video of water flowing out of a broken pipe into the living room of one of the units. And of course, I'm like, what am I looking at here? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? And turns out that unfortunately, basically over the winter, I don't know exactly how, but Joe, what happened, right? The gas
Yeah,
company. Oh,
yeah,
yes, yes.
the heat cut out
The
at
heat
the
cut out.
worst possible time.
The heat cut out, and the pipes froze. It was in January. The pipes froze, and then the contractor had actually turned the water off for us because we didn't want to be paying the water bill at the time. But in his mind, he came back and he thought that the property was ready for showing, and it was ready for showing. We were putting all the utilities back on, and unfortunately, the heat, which had been on because they were doing work in the property, the heat had cut out, and the contractor came by and flipped the water switch back on. The pipes froze, and then he came back 2 days later, and there was basically a sheet of ice across the floor of the entire property. Luckily, the top unit was saved. So one of three was left okay, and then two of three were completely destroyed. We had to have Roto-Rooter come in there. The contractor said to get into the door, it was so frozen that he had to use a crowbar to pry open the door. Um, and then started the process of, you know, fixing everything. And it cost Joe and I tens of thousands of dollars. We had to not only get rid of the ice, right? Then Roto-Rooter had to come in, treat all, remove all the wood, treat the wood for mold. Then the contractor comes back in and, redoes all the rehab. I mean, it was, as you can imagine, an absolute nightmare. The reason why we like telling this story is because A, Joe and I, we got that message. There was never a doubt of, us throwing in the towel and quitting and saying, we'll just sell it for a loss and stop this real estate investing stuff. We powered through. We figured out some creative ways to finance it. We got like a short-term loan from a local. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we got that short-term loan to use to finance the initial work because it had to be paid in a lump sum, which we then, paid back to the financial institution as quickly as we could. And we eventually were able to finish that rehab, get it leased up, and refinance that that deal and get pay back the hard money loan. And now we have a traditional mortgage on that property and it's cash flowing. But those 3 to 4 months were hard. That was a lot of
Yeah.
hard work and it was a brutal gut punch. We had so much momentum. We had just bought a duplex, done our rehab, cash out refied, used the money to buy the triplex. We're so excited. We had just successfully done the exact same thing where our momentum is growing and growing, and we're going to keep recycling this money. and then absolute gut punch. So that
Yeah,
is
yeah, mentally it was tough for those few months, but like
yeah.
Sam said, we at no point did we say that we were going to quit because we knew that we were destined to do this. We knew that we could do this and be successful. And to your point earlier, Ray, is that the mistakes that you make, they even out in the long run. In this case, it's still really not the long run yet, but like we're still cash flowing in the property. We were still able to refinance this property that had the pipe burst and still pull some cash out, even on top of all the stuff that we had to pay back. So of course we would have been able to cash out more. So that was the worst part of it. But even so, because we did so well with the renovations and because we bought at the right price, it just
Yeah.
we were able to weasel our way out of it and still continue to grow from there. At that point, we only had 5 units. Now we're up to 17. So as you can see, it didn't really stop us.
I think it's time for a happier one.
Yeah.
It's a great comeback.